My 31M, wife, 29F, recently ran into her ex-boyfriend from high school and it's making me insecure. I am not the OOP. OOP is you throw raw 120-82010. My 31M, wife, 29F, recently ran into her ex-boyfriend from high school and it's making me insecure. Originally posted to Our Relationship Advice. Original post July 16, 2021. TLDR, my 31M, wife, 29F, recently ran into her ex-boyfriend from high school and it's making me insecure. For context, my wife and I have known each other since middle school. I was in the grade above her, we lived in the same part of a smallish town, and our families went to the same church, so it's safe to say we were always bumping into each other growing up. We ran in parallel circles, but we never really shared the same group of friends. During my sophomore and junior year of high school, we would talk sometimes. I would drive her home every once in a while, and I could tell that she had a small crush on me, but I mostly ignored it. During her junior and my senior year, she started dating the ex this post is about. He was pretty much the opposite of what anyone would have expected her to date at that point, and her personality did a complete 180 pretty soon after they started dating. She stopped hanging out with her old friends, became more outspoken, and ended up skipping her junior prom. I left for college, on the other side of the country, and came back the next summer to find out that he had broken up with her a couple of weeks before graduation and skipped town after, leaving her devastated. I bumped into her at the local ice cream parlor, where she was working over the summer for some extra money for college, and we hung out almost every day after that. She never really talked about her ex, and I figured she was mostly over him. About 2 weeks after we first started hanging out, we made out, for the first time, in the backseat of my car. It ended with her crying and apologizing because she wasn't over her ex. She said that she was still in love with him and didn't think she would ever get over him. At that point, I realized that I was already falling for her and agreed to be just friends. We spent the entire summer together, with me slowly falling in love with her. Our colleges ended up being pretty close to each other, so we would hang out pretty often. We also spent Thanksgiving together. I was pretty sure we would end up together when we went back that winter, but she got a letter from him, explaining everything but with no return address, causing her to spiral again. We ended up getting together the next summer and got married almost 3 years ago. It was going really well until she ran to get milk about 3 weeks ago and bumped into him, completely out of the blue, across the country from our hometown, in our neighborhood. Apparently, he got his life together after leaving his deadbeat dad, went to college, and is now a journalist. My wife currently stays home with our 6-month-old, while I work a pretty time-intensive job. She's been spending a lot of time with him lately, and I don't know what to do. Every time she mentions him or things they did, I can't help but feel extremely jealous and insecure, like she still prefers him to me. From whatever little she has told me about their relationship, I know he's the complete opposite of me, and that's what attracted her to him. What should I do? Add it. I'd like to add that the child is definitely mine. She was conceived during the lockdown, and neither of us were really leaving the house without the other. The ex-boyfriend showing up was definitely a coincidence, a very specific one, but very plausible given the circumstances. A lot of you seem to be under the impression that my wife is hiding this from me. She is not. Everything I know about them is because she told me. I've also met the ex a couple of times, although not for very long. Relevant comments. Deleted. Have you talked to her about that? This will end very quickly, very badly for you, especially since she is already spending lots of time with him. During your relationship, she gave you every reason to believe that she isn't over him, so the thoughts that you have on your mind right now have a reason to be there. Have you ever been invited to hang out with them too, or is she spending time with him alone? Where do they meet, in public or in secluded/private places? Do you know what they are talking about? How is she acting with her phone? Do you have access to it? Could you ask her to take a look at the conversations they have? OOP. They mostly go for walks with the baby and lunch every once in a while. He's been over a couple of times, I think. I don't really know what they're talking about, but they've always had a lot of common interests. She's always been very private with her phone, before we ever got together, and even with her siblings, parents, or friends. I definitely don't think she's cheating on me, though. Deleted. The only real advice that I can give you is to let her into your thoughts. Explain to her the situation from your perspective, like you did in your post, and try to make her understand where you are coming from. That this whole setup makes you feel uncomfortable is normal, and if you want to change that, then she needs to know what is going on inside of you. So sit her down when the baby is asleep, explain your situation to her, and then let her speak. The one thing that you should do before you talk to her is to think about what she can actually do to reassure you. What is an acceptable outcome for you, and which one is a no-go? OOP. That's the bit I'm dreading, though. I really don't want to have to talk to her about this. I also don't want to control what she does. She'd definitely see the guy less if I asked her to, but that's just never been the dynamic we share. Update Aug 14, 2021, 1 month later. It's been a while since I made the post, but I figured I'd update you guys on this anyway, in case someone was still interested. I ended up burying my feelings again and decided to carry on with my life as if nothing had happened. Talking about it to a couple of people on here had really helped me pull myself together, at least for the time being. I did end up going to the park with her and the friend for a bit once and sort of watched their dynamic for a bit. Everything seemed normal. She mostly spent time with the baby, and he was just sort of there, keeping her company. Things had mostly gone back to normal when she called me at work and asked me to come home early. She'd never done this before and sounded pretty shaky, so I left almost immediately. I got home to find her having a breakdown in the apartment, while one of her old friends from her old job was there with the baby. Apparently, this guy had confessed his feelings to her. He'd said that he had loved her since they first started seeing each other, but had never felt like he was good enough, and now, because he had made something of himself, he finally felt worthy. He also said that he wasn't planning on saying anything originally, but had decided to because he felt that I was very detached, which was because of my anxiety. He had been offered a really good job abroad, which he was willing to turn down for her. She promptly told him to fluff off, but ended up having a breakdown because she realized that she had essentially lost touch with most of her friends, didn't really enjoy spending time with the women in her mommy group, and had noticed that I was being a bit distant. We had a really long talk that day, and I also showed her the post I'd made as well as some of the chats I'd had with someone here, which add way more context. She was very understanding and called me silly for not just talking to her. I agree. So we've basically decided that I should cut back a bit on my work hours, and she's going to try to reconnect with her friends a bit more. Currently, we're back in our hometown so we can see our families again, and they can meet the baby for the first time. My wife's doing much better, and she's already reconnected with a couple of her old friends. TLDR, we're good. This is a repost sub. I am not the OOP. Do not contact the OOPs or comment on linked posts. Remember Rule 7. Submitted by Direct Caterpillar 77. Link comments. Drop your verdict in the comments. Wait, what?